desert here.
Yes, well, I must say I don't agree with that. He made this as a kind of an off-the-cuff remark to a group of Italian clergy. He was on holidays at the time. I suspect what had happened was that he'd either kind of recalled the Synod for the Pacific when the Australian bishops got a bit of a dressing down back in Rome in 1999, was either that or that perhaps an Australian bishop had been whispering in his ear and had kind of, said that to him. I think he'll find that Australians are quite different to that. I think all the evidence is we're much more spiritual. We're not religious in a churchy sense, but much more spiritual.
Looks like he is just about to land at the Richmond Air Base. Here he is on the Alitalia flight.
Yes, the 777 is coming in.
So no doubt the area is thronged by security. Looks like he's touching down now. We're hoping to cross to our SBS correspondent who is on board the Pope's plane, Oscar
General, who I would expect would be the main person to welcome the Pope. And I can't see the point man in that picture, so the fellow that's indicating to the plane where it's going to stop, so still slowly taxiing.
Do you think, one of the more famous scenes of the previous Pope John Paul II was, of course, when he touched down in the country, he would famously get out and kiss the tarmac. Do we expect to see anything like that from Pope Benedict?
I'll be surprised. I don't think that's quite his style. He's a more reserved person. He's more... he's a man who's very much the German scholar, and he is a very good scholar. I mean, seriously, a good theologian. One of the brightest popes for a long, long time.
Was that Pope Benedict had granted special...
Here he is.
Oh, okay, here he comes. There we go, for the first time in Australia, giving us a wave.
You can see he's got a spring in his step. Kevin Rudd's welcoming him. That's interesting.
So he certainly hasn't stepped off the plane and kissed the tarmac.
No, he hasn't, no. In many ways, a very low-key arrival. Very typical, I think, of Pope Benedict XVI. He's not a man who stands on ceremony. And I do think he sees himself very much as a bishop and as a person, just a normal human being. The cardinal standing behind him, this Cardinal Tarcisio Bertone, the Cardinal Secretary of State. Bertone has become he's the most powerful, most influential figure in the Roman Curia. There's Cardinal Pell welcoming the Pope. Cardinal Bertone really, in a way, runs the papal government, if you like.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be too much fanfare here. It looks reasonably low-key.
Well, that's fairly typical of this papacy, I think. I mean, he's not someone who makes a song and dance. It's not a song and dance act. And, I think people get a kind of mystical view of popes. It's as though they were almost God on earth, so to speak. In fact, they're just normal human beings, like all of us, I suppose, struggling to, sort life out. That's, I think, what I like most about this man, and what I admire most about him is his very low-key approach to these things.
And we see a bit of a security presence there in the back. I can see a couple of guys talking into their lapels.
That's right, yes. Well, it is interesting, though, that the Prime Minister is the person really welcoming him. I suppose at the official welcome we'll see the Governor-General, of course, Kevin Rudd is an interesting character. He's a quite religious man. He's, of course, an Anglican. He actually goes to church in a church very close to where I live in Canberra, and but I see him as a kind of a quite profoundly religious man in many ways, a man of quite deep conviction, and I think it would be for him quite a thrill to welcome the Pope.
Well, it looks like he's now going into a building in the Richmond Air Base, so he's going to be out of view. But one of the more curious things that I had heard that Pope Benedict had done recently was to grant special plenary indulgence to the faithful attending World Youth Day. I didn't hear too much about it, but does this really mean that the young pilgrims are going to get a shortcut to heaven, Paul?
Well, a shorter cut than they might get, so to speak.